Hello everyone, welcome to another Batman Beyond tier list video as part of my Batman Beyond 25th anniversary coverage. Right near the end of my Batman Beyond month now, so this is one of the last videos I'm producing. After doing tier lists of the episodes and the villains, it was requested that I do the heroes and also the cameo appearances. So in this video, I'm going to focus on the heroic characters. So right off the bat, lol, we have Ace. Now, Ace is Bruce Wayne's guard dog. He's obviously inspired by the 1950s character Ace the Bat-Hound, that kind of campy, silly little... I think he was an Alsatian that wore a mask and a cape and had internal monologue where he'd think, oh, little Timmy's fallen down a well, I've got to go and rescue him. This version of Ace is a fierce guard dog. He's like a Great Dane Doberman kind of dog. I don't know, I'm not really a dog person. I don't usually like dogs, but I think Ace is great, so straight up in the S tier right away. This next character might be a bit controversial, Agent Bennett. He's really in the Zeta project more than anything else, but he is a federal agent in at least 2 episodes of Batman Beyond. So he was in the first appearance of Zeta, in the episode titled Zeta, and also the one where Cobra infects Falseface with a plague that they intend to spread through Gotham. Now, in Batman Beyond, Agent Bennett doesn't really do that much. In the Zeta project, which I know I shouldn't keep in consideration for this because this is Batman Beyond, but in the Zeta project he has a much bigger role. He is like the legitimate law enforcement figure of authority that is pursuing Zeta, because he assumes that Zeta is a killing machine that is malfunctioning and is putting everyone at danger. So he doesn't necessarily believe Zeta's new take on pacifism. I'm going to put him, just based on his Batman Beyond appearances, in C, because he is pretty ineffective. He gets fooled by Terry and Zeta when Terry blows up some rubble to make it seem like Zeta had exploded. And I can't really remember much about his appearance in the Plague episode off the top of my head. Someone will correct me and say, no, he's the most intrinsic, integral character in all of Batman Beyond. What is wrong with you? Sorry if that is the case. Okay, so next we have Aquagirl. She's a member of the Justice League Unlimited. She's probably the only one that welcomes Terry into the Justice League, outside of Superman, I suppose. But she falls victim to the traitors' attempts to kill members of the League, but Terry saves her, but annoys Big Barda and Warhawk in the process. She's pretty solid. She uses her ability to speak to fish to solve part of the problem in the call. She's generally quite a nice character, and as such I feel like she doesn't have a lot of personality other than just being nice, so I'm going to give her B. Next we have Barbara Gordon. Now Barbara Gordon's a very interesting character because obviously we all know she used to be Batgirl, but in the time of Batman Beyond she'd long given up the costume crusader lifestyle and was now the new Commissioner Gordon for Gotham City. She kind of doesn't necessarily trust Terry because she thinks the costumed life is not something people should pursue. So she's not exactly hostile, but she is skeptical. But I think she's great. She had a good role in Batman Beyond Return of the Joker as well, where she explained what happened in the last confrontation between Batman and the Joker, and she was there supporting Tim Drake the whole time. So I'm going to put her in the S as well, to hell with it. Do I like Ace more than Barbara? I do. Big Barda's next. Now, Big Barda. Whew. She is mean-spirited, incredibly tough, and she was basically a substitute for Wonder Woman because at the time they didn't have the rights to use Wonder Woman in animation, so they just went with Big Barda. And, you know, they were big fans of Jack Kirby anyway, so why wouldn't they use her? she is kind of unnecessarily hostile towards Batman when he comes to the Justice League, to the point that I think it was done so that you might suspect her of being the traitor, but it just comes off as kind of annoying. But Terry does win her trust by the end of the 2-part story, so I'm giving her an A. I think she's pretty good. Now next, okay, this is Terry McGinnis, the new Batman of the future. I can't believe I just said that. There doesn't even need to be a conversation about this. He is S, and he's right at the top. Terry's a great character. They could have very easily have messed this up by either making him like a carbon copy of Bruce, or going completely in the opposite direction of being like a happy-go-lucky, irritating teen. But no, they've got the balance just right. He is a little bit edgy, he's a little rough around the edges, but he's got a heart made of gold. He's probably the best Batman replacement out of all of the Batman replacements there ever have been. High praise indeed. Okay, so next we have Bruce Wayne. Well, he is, without a doubt, he's going right to the top. I'm sorry. It's impossible for me to separate these legacy characters from their earlier appearances, and Bruce Wayne is the only character, I think, off the top of my head, to appear in every single show. He was in, obviously, Batman the Animated Series, Superman, Static Shock, Zeta Project, Batman Beyond, Justice League Unlimited. Kevin Conroy's performance, as always, fantastic, and I really like how Bruce Wayne kind of starts out in this very dark, lonely position, but through the events of Batman Beyond, he really grows and develops as a character, and you don't always see a lot of development in established characters. So he's just going to go right to the top of my list because he's my favourite Batman, full stop. So this next one is Gear. He briefly appears in the Static Shock episode. I think it's called Future Shock. It's the crossover with Batman Beyond. I can't remember if his character was actually properly in the episode, or if he was you just saw a hologram of him. In the present, Gear is like Static's best friend, but in the future they've become a bit estranged. But the main thing with Gear is that in the future he's put on a lot of weight, and they make a lot of references about, oh, you should skip the fries, lol. I'm giving him a B though, because Gear is a pretty decent character. It's just, you know, the body shaming stuff ain't cool. Okay, so next we have the Green Lantern, whose name is escaping me at the moment. I think it's like Kylo. No, that's not Kylo Ren. That's Star Wars. Apologies for forgetting his name. I remember it begins with a K. He is like a Buddhist Green Lantern, so he's very laid back, has his legs crossed most of the time as he floats. I wouldn't necessarily say he was a pacifist, but he is very zen, let's put it that way. I like this characterization. I think he's pretty good, actually. It's quite unusual to see a Green Lantern, with this characterization, because, you know, you've got Hal Jordan, who's kind of a bit of a hothead. Jon Stewart is stern and he's very much a soldier. And you've got irritating people like Guy Gardner, you know. But this Green Lantern's pretty cool. So I'm going to put him... Do I like him more than Barda? I don't think so. He's almost the opposite of Barda, actually, because he's very small and he's very calm, whereas she is very big and very violent. But I'm going to put them both there because I like them both. So Kairi, she was the sensei of the dojo that Terry McGinnis and Xander of Cobra were sent to train at. She was also the young woman in Batman the Animated Series Day of the Samurai that was kidnapped by the ninja Kyodai Ken. Seeing her show up in the future was a really nice continuity nod, and I love those. Apparently it was suggested by Dan Reba, so well done, Dan. That hit the spot. She's kind of funny. Like she's clearly got a sense of humour. She's not quite what you would imagine a traditional, you know, karate master, kung fu master, whatever the martial arts are. I apologise for getting that wrong. She's not like your typical sensei, you know, like Pai Mei in Kill Bill, you know, with his moustache. She's not at all like that, but she's quite likable, and she sacrifices herself to defeat Cobra because she had trained Xander and hoped that he would see the error of his ways, and he didn't, so she killed him and herself. But she's pretty solid as well. I'm going to put her on the B. She's better than Gear, absolutely. Better than Aquagirl, yeah, I'm going to say so. Yeah, I'm going to put her near the top of the B. All right, so next, Maxine Gibson, Terry's version of Oracle, basically. She's the person that sits in the chair to help him out when Batman can't help. She's very enthusiastic. She also wants to help out. She wants to be involved. And then in the one episode where she does get involved, the episode in which Curare is killing off all of the League of Assassins, or Society of Assassins, whatever they were called, she chooses the wrong time to get involved by investigating one of their target's hotel rooms. And Curare turns up thinking that she might be her target. And obviously it really upsets Max to almost be killed, but once Curare realizes her mistake, she moves on. Very good episode, really like that one. I also really like the episode Where's Terry, when Terry gets stuck underground because of an attack from Shriek, has brought a load of rubble down from a tunnel on top of him, and Max and Bruce Wayne have to team up to try and find Terry. There's a great scene, I've talked about this before, where they've tracked Bruce to a subway. Bruce and Max have tracked Terry to a subway tunnel, but there's a bunch of workmen around and security, etc., and they can't figure out how to get past them. So Max says, "Well, to do it, why don't you distract them, and while they're not looking, I'll go down the opposite way and find a way around." He goes, "Oh yeah, it's a great idea," which is very surprising because Bruce is not at all supportive of bringing Max in. So Bruce waddles on over with his stick and goes, "Excuse me, gentlemen, should that young lady be going down those tunnels?" And obviously all the security go after her, leaving the path clear for Bruce to continue looking for Terry. Very funny moment, really liked it. But anyway, Max, she's really solid. I think I'm going to give her an S. I'm going to put her on the lower end of S for now, because there were moments where I found she could be a little bit annoying, just a little bit, like where she wouldn't listen to Terry and she was so overconfident. I know that they deliberately wrote her that way so that she could have like character growth over time. But I think Barbara Gordon and Ace trump her for now. Okay, next we have, oh God, what was his name? Is it Micron? So he's like the first Justice League member that gets taken out by the traitor. So he spends most of his appearance in a tank unconscious. He has the ability to shrink and grow, a bit like the Atom. And there's not really much else to say about him, to be honest. He's quite strong. He grows pretty big when Superman is exposed as the traitor. He breaks out of Micron, I think. Yeah, Micron breaks out of his containment tank and holds Superman down. I thought that was quite a good moment. I don't recall him doing very much else in the show, though, so I might have forgotten something. But for that reason, I'm going to put him on B, because he's pretty decent in terms of like powers, and he's got quite an interesting look, but he doesn't actually do very much. Next, this one might be controversial. This is District Attorney Sam Young, I think. He's Barbara Gordon's husband, and he is the guy that... obviously, he's the district attorney. He deals with a lot of the criminal element in Gotham. In Splicers, he's the one that's proposing outlawing splicing, and that attracts the anger of Dr. Abel Cuvier and the Splicers. He is a target for assassination from Curare, and he is also meeting with a head of a gang in Sneak Peek, and it doesn't go very well when the journalist reveals that this head of the gang is having a secret meeting with the DA. He's fairly solid. Doesn't really do an awful lot, frankly. So I'm going to put him on the low end of B. I think he's decent, but he doesn't really do much. All right, next we have the future version of Static. Now, he only really appears in the Static Shock crossover episode, Future Shock. He is the prisoner that Cobra has. and he is, at that time, Earth's greatest hero. Don't see an awful lot of him being heroic, apart from the last couple of minutes of the episode, from what I remember. But he is pretty good. There is also an older version of Static in Justice League Unlimited's Once and Future Thing Part 2, who, again, pretty decent. I will put him at the top end of A, I think. I would have liked to have seen more of him. Please move. There we go. I would have liked to have seen more of him. And it's quite satisfying in a way to see that the young, inexperienced Virgil Hawkins from Static Shock, who's often filled with self-doubt, develop into, as Batman says, the world's greatest hero. So that's cool. Okay, next we have Superman, who is in The Call. He... I'm just going to spoil it. I mean, if you're watching this, you've probably already seen Batman Beyond, but he has been taken over by the parasite Starro, and he is the traitor on the Justice League. He's the one that's been taking everyone out. It's a nice twist, probably a little obvious, but, you know, when I watched it, I was a kid, you know, well, teenager, I suppose, but I didn't see it coming. And the last moments of The Call Part 1, where Batman opens a secret section of the Batcave and has to go through like fingerprint scans and retinal scans, and, you know, has to give his great-grandmother's maiden name and what have you, all these security measures to get his hands on the contents of his safe. And it is a piece of kryptonite which he hands to Terry and says, do whatever it takes, essentially giving permission to kill Superman. Thought that was a great, wonderful moment. I know that doesn't directly come from Superman, but obviously it's about him. And Superman is generally a really good character as well. He wasn't in Beyond very much, and the version that we mostly saw was the possessed version, so kind of like Starro. I'm going to put him on A, but I'm going to put him above the rest of them. So is that controversial, putting Static above Superman? I don't care, it's my list, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Okay, so on to the last two. So we have Warhawk, the son of Hawkgirl and Green Lantern John Stewart. He is kind of a gruff and abrasive hero in the vein of Wolverine, and I mean, actually, he's like a futuristic version of Hawkman, right? That's the thing about this Justice League, the Justice League Unlimited, the future. They're very much like the 70s Justice League, except there was no Green Arrow analog. But, you know, you had Barda, who was Wonder Woman, and Superman, obviously, Green Lantern. Warhawk, who is obviously Hawkman, and Micron, who's the Atom. He has some additional airtime in Justice League Once and Future Thing. He's one of the last survivors of the Justice League in that episode. I think he's pretty good. He is kind of like Barda in being a bit hostile towards Batman initially, but I think his criticisms are generally fair, if a bit firm, and he does warm to Batman as the first episode goes along. He's not like unnecessarily unkind to him like Barda is. I'm actually going to put him, because of his Justice League appearances as well, I'm going to put him above Barda. I mean, I suppose with Superman, I probably should consider his historical appearances, shouldn't I? Oh no, I've been caught in a trap by my own logic. I'm going to leave Superman there. I'll keep Superman above Warhawk. But he's very good. I think the entire Justice League Unlimited are excellent. Micron, I'd like to see more of him, and Aquagirl, I suppose, to pass judgment on them. But those four are, in particular, are excellent. All right, so last of all, we have Zeta. Now, Zeta did go on to have his own spin-off show, The Zeta Project, but I have to admit, and I'm really sorry, Bob Goodman, I love your writing on the new Batman Adventures and Superman, but I didn't really like the Zeta Project very much, and I think it's a really interesting premise, like a murderous robot that develops a conscience and decides it doesn't want to kill anymore. And there were some good episodes. I recall liking the episode where Zeta and Ro end up hiding amongst the Amish, or the equivalent of the Amish in the future. And they are very hostile towards him once they learn that he is technology personified, and they want to. It's almost like they want to crucify him. I remember that being quite a striking episode. But the Zeta Project was kind of originally imagined as being like The Fugitive, the TV show. Well, I suppose you could say the Harrison Ford movie as well. But the executives wanted it to skew younger. So a lot of the stuff you got about, the morality of murder kind of faded away a little bit, and it became a case of, where's the doctor going to be this week? Let's just travel across America while we look for this doctor to prove that Zeta has grown a conscience. It's fine. And his Batman Beyond appearances were decent. I don't love him. That's the thing. I'm sorry, Zeta. I'm sorry, but I'm going to put you in B, above the DA and above Micron and above Gear. But Aquagirl comes first. Okay, so that's my ranking of each of these heroic characters. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me why I'm wrong about Zeta or any of these people. Thanks. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Take care.